Hi everyone, I'm Crixall, and today we're going to learn how to build like the Hermits from Hermitcraft. Keep watching to the end to see all the best tips and how to use them in your own builds. We're going to build a small castle today using all these tips from the Hermits. Let's see what we can build. Tip 1. Planning.
Planning gives you the ability to control the entire layout and lore of your creation, forces you to think ahead to where you'll need things to be, and ensures less mistakes are made and speeds up the overall process. It can really get you thinking about your build, and I find it to be a really important step.
Planning, specifically inspiration and getting the ideas that you want to build. You can use a search engine to research ideas, specifically either photographs or real buildings or drawings, or search for Minecraft builds. Don't want to use someone else's design or risk showing an image that might be copyrighted. Well, I have designed this in Blender and it's just a guide, so we can definitely make changes as we go along. Preparation.
Let's begin by sorting out our terrain. This is a very important first step, and if you plan on including custom terrain in your kingdom or whatever you're building, definitely do it now. Establishing a good foundation for your build is really important. Get anything out of the way that might annoy you later on.
As we heard from Gem, we need to prepare the terrain to make sure the surface is how you need it. Fairly flat terrain or the right shapes to build on, with all of the trees, grass, water and other naturally generated items all out of your way. Colour palette. This is a straightforward but important thing to note. If you can plan your build palette first, you can look at the colours in the setting that you're in, make sure they work for the biome and the surroundings, and make sure the blocks work as you want them to. As Jen once said, think of the blocks as colours and not as the materials that they're supposed to be in Minecraft. So this here is our colour palette. We're going to go with a similar colour palette to the one that was in Jen's clip.
I start by marking this out in red. I am color coding my wool throughout this, and this is something that I will do when I am doing larger kingdoms, but on smaller ones I don't always color code. For this particular build, my towers are magenta, my walls are pink, and my big main structures are red and orange. For the castle, I'm breaking it up into several different buildings, as you can see here. Then I can start raising up the height so I can tell where my towers are going to go and how it is actually going to look and sit on this cliff. When I go back in to build it a little bit later on, I'll already have my heights established and I'll be able to add roofs in fairly easily. This will make the entire building process just run a lot smoother.
Gem explained this stage as making a wireframe of wool to shape and edit your builds. It's a great method to make sure the shapes are right in the context of the world. Because we don't need to be hard and fast to the original idea, we can just use the concept or inspiration as an idea, and it doesn't have to stay exactly the same all the way to the end. We can adjust anything that we need to make sure that it's all correct. As you can see that I'm making adjustments as we go along. As I've been building this, I've realised I didn't need an extra tower in the middle as was on my concept. The top of the central building will already link to the ramparts. As you can see, I keep on checking the shape and changing it with the wool outline to make sure that I've sorted the shape and scale issues before I even start putting down the materials. I do, however, have some issues with the roof area in the middle, but I will change that again.
I often work on this super small scale of just like making a small area look pretty, like take it 10 by 10 or a 20 by 20 and just hyper focus on that area and make it pretty. But that's totally different from how it looks from far away.
When it comes to making structures in this style, here is how I go about it. You start with your basic structure, a starter house, if you will. Rectangle with a triangle on top. Could be whatever shapes you want, but we're gonna start with this one. Once you have this basic structure, you're gonna build more of them, layered on top of the first one. You can change up your shapes a little bit if you want, but the basic premise stays.
Exterior. B-Dubs talks about considering the different views as you're designing and detailing. So we need to think about how the shapes work with the surroundings and how they all fit together. So as we're designing this structure, to make sure the features work well in the distant view as well as the close-up views. Jem said about putting small building shapes together to make a larger build, using them as different elements to make a whole build from different structures. And she told us to think of each of these pieces as a starter house. This is great advice because we can treat each shape as a different building, and then come back to B-Dub's advice, don't forget the wider views. Please keep checking the whole picture looks good, as well as all the individual little pictures. So check your perspectives and make sure that the whole structure fits into the terrain as well as the individual pieces. And make sure that it looks effective from all views. So let's take a look at our build from a bit further away.
So I've separated it. If it's going to be a starter house, I want it to feel like a house. I've got an area with some shelves out here right in the entryway, and then I've got a little sitting room out here, kind of a dining room with a fireplace. It's compact, but it works. If I want an area to store logs, I create a little area like this where I can put all my logs and stuff. That's an obvious visual reminder of where it is. Flowers and seeds obviously go out in the garden area. Stone or anything that you might need to smelt, put a little bit of a furnace outside and have an area for that. And all throughout the house, there's lots of other little areas for storage. These are cartography tables if I ever need to use that. And this would be an example of a small starter house. This is on the fairly small size, but you could have an entrance right here, then a small little bedroom right there, maybe an area to put a table and chairs over here, and this could be a little kitchen for cooking.
B-Dubs is a brilliant builder, and he has so many hints and tips that he can share with us, and there are so many things that we can learn from him, a few of which we've just seen. The main takeaways for me from those clips were that we need to break up the space a bit, think about the build functionally, and decorate each space, keeping interest in it. A tip that I once saw from SmallishBeans said to use as many different blocks as possible because it will give far more interest in the build. So that's something that I try to do definitely within my interiors. So here's our finished build. Thank you for joining me in looking into the Hermit's hints and tips and following along with this build. If you enjoyed this, please like the video and subscribe if you aren't already. Join me next time as we look at the best mini games in Hermitcraft Season 10. See you soon!